Hi there, I'm Gary. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm looking at the quite extraordinary Bartini-Beriev VVA-14 in 1/72 scale from Modelsvit. This kit was sent to me by Rob Nolan. Thanks for feeding my need for the unusual, Rob. This kit first appeared in 2014, it was reissued in 2017, and in 2022 was released with flotation balloons in the sponsons as an option. This is the box I have today. The kit was also issued by A&A Model in 2023 in the modified Ekranoplan version, the 14MP1. Now if you enjoy the video, please do let YouTube know by giving it the imperial thumbs up, by subscribing to the channel, and by hitting the notification bell. All these are free and a great way to show your support. So let's make a start today with a look at the box the kit comes in. So here it is, in my hands I finally have a VVA-14, a Bartini-Beriev VVA-14, a quite astonishing aircraft. As you can see here, it's got floats on it. It could fly with floats, it had wheels, it was amphibious, it would fly in ground effect, it ultimately would have been vertical takeoff and landing with 12 lift engines as well as the 2 engines to power it. I mean, this was going to be an absolute do-everything kind of plane had its project continued, no doubt. Completely bonkers idea. I mean, why not just make one thing do absolutely everything? Why not? Because it don't work very well. But it did get the Soviets, because it was Soviet missions, a lot of valuable data. I've wanted one of these for a very, very long time. I have to thank Rob Nolan so very, very much for finding it for me. So Rob, cheers mate, really appreciate this kit. So here we have the pontoon bags deployed, the flotation bags deployed. Here it's obviously Modelsvit from Ukraine, make it. Scale is 1/72 scale, the catalogue number is 72041. The span, when it's complete, will be 417 millimeters. That's quite a sizable span. 381 millimeters long, and there are 228 pieces, not all of which you will need, depending on the configuration you choose to build it. There's decal sheets and adhesive masks for the transparencies as well, it says there. On this long side, there's a 3 view of the aircraft as it was on tests in 72 to 73. And here you can see it was designed to be fitted with undercarriage as well on these little sort of sponsons out here and then under the nose. And then the bulky things down this length here, as it were, contained the floats. And you can see here there's some air inlets there. They would have been for the lift engines, well, some there, and then a couple here would have been for the lift engines, which is all very nice. On this side there are other boxes. This is 72041. 72014 is the very first version of it, just with the undercarriage, not with any flotation devices fitted. There's also here the Myosashov, I think it is M55 Geophysica, very, very high altitude flying aircraft that was designed in the late 70s, early 80s. That is part of the test as well. That's part of the range as well of these research aircraft from the Soviet Union. They did do some pretty amazing planes, let's be honest. Okay, anyway, so that's a very nice box art showing the thing with the pontoon bags deployed. Let's have a look inside the box and see what we actually get for our money in this kit. Okay, the lid comes straight off the top, like so. And inside there are a lot of frames of bits and pieces of plastic. There's a lot of plastic in this. It is 41 centimeters wide, so there will be a lot of plastic, all in the one bag, with lots of sub-divided bags inside. And there's the instruction leaflet here as well. Everything else is included in the bags. But let's have a look at all these bits and pieces in more detail. First we have parts that are labelled simply 1 and 2, 1 and 2, and these are the top and bottom of the central fuselage section of the aircraft. Then we have frames A and B. This is A, this is B, and these are the two sponsons that sit either side of the central fuselage. These carry the inflatable bags inside them. Frame C contains various bits of the interior, parts of the cockpit, instrument panel, for example, and things like that. Well, frames D and E are the outer parts of the wings. Frame F has the two horizontal stabilisers from the back. Frame G has inner panels from the two sponsons to which the floats will fit. And frame H are the engine nacelles. Frame I has something like the external pipework and support work for the balloons, the landing balloons, if they're deployed, to have these sort of ribs that go around them, and there's some parts associated with them as well. And now a slight confusion, because this frame is marked M, but it's actually shown, the contents appear to be J in the instructions. So I'll have to look and see later on whether that's going to cause any confusion with the parts. You imagine J for jet engine, that should be okay. Then we have frame K, which are largely just sort of structural parts that help put the thing together and keep it in shape, particularly the large central fuselage. Again, this one's also labelled as M, but in the instructions this would be labelled as L for Lima, L for landing gear. Then what is actually M in the instructions is called 1M. Here, that's the forward cockpit area. Then there are two frames P. These are the deployed landing balloon bags. Then there's frame O for Oscar, which are the rudders and fins. And there's frame Q, which isn't actually marked at all on the instructions, but these are the outriggers for the undercarriage with their wheels. And frame R for Romeo, this is the forward nose undercarriage, basically, with its housing. There are two frames S, and these each construct a seat, so S for seats. Then there's frame T. This is the underside of the sponsons if you haven't got the balloon landing bags deployed. Then there's frame U, which is a stand if you'd like it to be displayed as if in flight. There's no crew figures, by the way. And then finally, there's the transparent parts for the nose and side windows around the cockpit. There's also a pre-cut vinyl mask set for all the transparencies, a very, very useful thing to have. Then there's the decal sheets. I will say straight away, the colours look really good, and they do look very, very sharp. The red of the Soviet era flag is very rich and very clean. The blue appears very strong, the Aeroflot blue, and all of the black lettering looks very crisp indeed. We'll have a closer look, but first impressions are this is a very, very good set of decals. Looking at the decals, particularly for the inside, for the instruments here and the switches here, you kind of think, was this perhaps just decograph because it was a decograph? These are decograph decals. This is just decograph showing off how fine print they can do, or is there a purpose to it? Because I don't think you're going to see any of this stuff through the transparent plastic that they've used for the cockpit canopy and windscreens and so on. These are exquisitely fine, really very lovely, and I'm sorry to say almost completely wasted on the interior, but very beautiful nonetheless, very beautiful. The hammer and sickle and the star on the Soviet flag are very light. They go decograph printed in Ukraine. Really beautifully done. I'm really beautiful. Really, really, really sharp. If this was a sort of thing where you could have windows open or an open canopy or whatever, this would be so valuable. The blue is a very nice blue. I think it's worked very well. The Aeroflot logos here work very nicely. These are superb looking decals, I have to say. I don't know how thick the film is on them. Doesn't look very thick and doesn't look too widely cut either. So these could be very fine decals. Yeah, we'll see though. But beautifully printed. I mean, those just are so nice. Here's the instruction leaflet, quite comprehensive. There's a nice sort of reprise in colour of the box art here. Reprise of the catalogue number 72041, the scale and the size, length and the number of parts as well. There's a history of the Bartini-Beriev VVA-14 here in Ukrainian and in English. Colour callouts are here in the letters they use and what they roughly look like, and then colours in Mr. Colour and with AK Real Colour or other AK equivalents as well, which is very nice. And then there's some symbols here, just a translation of the symbols they used during the kit. Now, it does say here, the model is on short run technology and is designed for experienced modelers. That means there's going to have a lot of flash and there's going to be some fit issues. Basically, these aren't going to be the best mouldings in the world, but you know how many other kits of this completely bonkers plain are there? Not many, if any at all. So inside, first of all, we have the sprue layouts. We've already been through the sprues, frames, and here you've got things like J and L, which are labelled as M. There's M, which is labelled as 1M, and so on. Q, which isn't labelled at all. But at least you can see what the parts are and where they belong, which is something good. And then we get into the construction. Now the seats look really complex. I have to say there's a lot of parts to these seats for something that then goes inside a plane you can barely see into, I suspect, with the transparencies. So the transparencies are going to need some work on them to make them clear enough to see a lot of this stuff. The co-pilot, navigator, whatever you like to call the person in the back seat here, you're only going to see them through these tiny little windows, so I don't know how much of the detail you're going to see. However, they are very, very, very detailed, so do you know what? You kind of got to be happy about that, really. And the structure of the front cockpit area, lots of decals for the various bits and pieces, colours and whatever. All very nice, all goes together relatively straightforwardly. The nose wheel well, and then we start on the body of the aircraft with those two stiffening segments here, the top and bottom big shells, number 1 and 2 that we saw earlier on. Then wings and tailplanes, rudders all go in twos, very straightforward. Engines go together very simply. The wheels, again, there's a little bit of detail in the wheels, which is kind of nice, even these outriggers, which is quite cute. It depends on whether or not you've got the bags open, of course. If you've got the bags open, this is your choice here to have the bags open. There's lots of bits of wire they suggest putting on. Again, you can take a position as whether you're not actually going to do that or not. I'm not entirely sure. I may well do it with the undercarriage down anyway, rather than do it. If I do it on the bags, then I'm going to have to put it on a water diorama, and I don't really want to be doing that at the moment. So, yeah, this is for the assembly Version A with the wheels is assembly version B with the bags, as you can see. And then you just bang it all together. There's some angles here, get that at 6 degrees and that at 28 degrees. Best of luck with that. Something close to that would be nice. And again, version A has got the wheels, and version B, it's on its flotation bags. Towards the end, again, there's masses of undercarriage parts to put in there, which looks really cool. I have to say, I think it looks really cool. And then this is essentially what they look like when they're finished, either with the wheels or with the flotation bags. And they suggest you might want to put it on the clear stand. Again, flotation bags you might actually want to put on a water diorama, but not me. The paint scheme is fairly straightforward. Classic Aeroflot, white on top, light grey, or no, they're using light grey all over. Normally that would be white, so light grey on top. I don't think that's gunmetal. That's medium sea grey, satin medium sea grey. Very nice. And you've got to leave a space, obviously, for the decals there to go through. But very straightforward. There's a undercarriage green. You can get actually Soviet undercarriage green as well if you like, or medium green if you want. And then if you want the floats out as well, that's you can have them there, and that's the black of the floats, rubber material, I'm guessing, of the floats. So this is all very straightforward looking. I think the issue and the build issue is going to be in actually making all the parts fit together, more than it intrinsically being a terribly complicated thing. There we have it, quite a lot of plastic, and it will be quite a lot of kit with a span of over 40 centimetres. I'm really unsure which version to make, whether to have it on wheels or on the flotation bags on water. I'll have to give that one some thought. Anyway, that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, then remember to let YouTube know with an imperial thumbs up, by subscribing and by hitting the notification bell. Thanks so very much for watching today, and goodbye.